Hey guys, welcome. Today is our inaugural podcast into Blending Kingdom Families, and this is just going to be an opportunity for us to tell you a little bit about us, kind of what's our story, who we are, where we came from, and why we created this ministry and what we hope it's going to do. So let's get started and just talk about kind of how we met. So I was 36 and single.
Yes.
And I was good at being single.
Very good.
I was very good at being single.
Very good.
And met Vanessa, and at the time she had a son, and Michael was...
He was 6.
He was 6 at the time. So that was about six or 7 years ago. 7. I lose count. It's been a while. A lot of stuff's happened. So we initially met and started dating, and that's kind of when our story started. If you fast forward to today, we are a blended family of now 6.
Yes.
We have since then had 4 boys. 3 boys. 4 boys all together. Her and I had 3 together. So we are a blended family of 6. So it's 1 girl, 5 boys, we win.
Yes.
So that is a little bit about kind of what our story is today.
Yes, it is. So guys, I just want to share a little bit about myself and my background. I have been raised blended, have lived blended my entire life. We live blended. And so just a little bit about my background and who I am. I'm a West Texas girl from Abilene, Texas, and that's actually where Scott and I met. Mm-hmm. And my mother and biological father divorced when I was about 18 months. So I actually have never met my biological father. But after that, my mom remarried 2 more times. And so when I was about 11 years old, she married the man who I call my dad. They've been married for about 27 years now. And through that marriage, I gained a sister. So I have a stepsister, but I also do have a half biological sister from my biological father. And so that's just a little bit about how I grew up blended. Mm-hmm. And then after meeting Scott, of course, we have our blended family together. I was married once before, obviously ended in divorce, but through the loss of that marriage, I had the greatest gain of my entire life, which was marrying this man and having 3 more boys. And so it has been quite the journey in the past 7 years, and I would not trade it for anything. Growing up, I used to find a lot of shame being blended because out of all of my friends, I was the only one that was blended. All of my friends were traditional nuclear families, and that was just so difficult for me. I didn't understand it, and I didn't like it. And after growing up and when my mom married my father, who was a godly man, and accepting Christ and having Christ as the center of our family, and through his grace and mercy, just found how a blended family can be beautiful and just how beautiful blended is.
Absolutely. I think you could probably say we are like double blended because both of us grew up in a blended family. Now we are a blended family. Much like Vanessa's story, I grew up in a blended family. So my father married my mother, who had a daughter. So blended is really all we knew growing up. And since then, obviously it's just gotten bigger and better. A little bit about me and my background is professionally, I am an LPC, a licensed professional counselor. I've held a private practice for many years. I'm originally from West Texas too, which I think just basically makes us both pretty cool. Overall, I just love working with families, marriages. Specifically, I love doing premarital counseling. It's always been a strong passion of mine. And it's all kind of catapulted into what we see today, which is the launch of our ministry. And as we looked back, probably a year ago when this idea kind of came to fruition, Vanessa started getting very strong messages that this is something that we needed to do. We have gone through a lot as a blended family, but we knew that there was a lot of information that hadn't been created yet, and things that other families could probably benefit from. So that kind of goes now into our, why did we create this? What was the purpose of Blended Kingdom Families?
Yeah, so our why, guys, this ministry really birthed in a season of just complete opposition and desperation. I mean, we really had nowhere to go but to our knees. And that is the safest place that we can be because we are so in tuned and leaned in and pressed into the Lord. And that's where we were. And through that season, birth blended kingdom families. And I just remember after going through all of that turmoil, God's just mercy and grace, we'd begin to see the restoration and just the reformation and the renewing that he did in our lives. And he just reminded me one day that we weren't the only ones. We were not the only ones that were going through things like this. And in that season, we reached out and tried to find resources and biblical resources, and there was not a whole lot that we could found. Not saying it's not out there, but just us and just in the church in general. I remember reaching out to our church, and there weren't any classes that supported blended families. There's divorce care and there's singles, but nothing for blended families in the middle. I'm thankful today that we actually do have a class in our church now called Blending Families, and we are the teachers, so that's exciting. I'm so glad that churches, as a whole, are now starting to embrace that, and that's what our heart is, and that's what we want to see. But like Scott was saying, through that season, that's just how blended kingdom families came to fruition. And it's been something that God has been speaking to us about since January. And we are just so excited to get this launched.
Absolutely. And the other side of this, guys, is it seemed like every blended family that we met, or ones that we knew, it was always kind of the same story. Yes, we're blended. Yes, it's hard. Yes, we don't like it. And we're just trying to get through it. And we just kind of thought that was just a bad way to live life. Just because your blended family was created out of something that either didn't succeed by choice or by life situation, it doesn't mean that you have to live in a world blended where you don't enjoy it and you don't have fun and you don't flourish in that environment. And we just saw so many blended families that were just kind of getting by and really didn't have the practical resources or the ability for somebody to say, hey, this is how exactly you get to the point where you and whether it's your ex-spouse, ex-family, other stepchildren actually got along and enjoyed each other. And we just thought that was, the status quo was not good enough, and that there was something better to have and something better to achieve. And I think that is all possible. And what we're planning to do through this ministry is just to bring you practical, biblical references of things, situations that you experience in your blended family, in ways that you can start growing to improve that situation. And they're not always going to be easy. No. They're not always going to be things that you're going to be like, yeah, I can do that, or I even want to do that. But there are things that through faith, if you step out and you start trusting what God tells us about blended families and what God tells us about marriages and relationships, that you can start living an abundant life in something that is so much greater than what you experience today.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the verses that we love to live by is Luke 1:37, and it's all things are possible with God, for nothing is impossible with God. And that is so true with blended families, you guys. With God as the center and focus point of our marriage and of our family, we can have the abundant kingdom blended life. And, and that's really where blended kingdom families came from. The name came from. I was on my knees in prayer one day, and God gave me this vision of just these ashes, and these ashes represented all of these families, and it just kind of tornadoed into this really cool just vision, and the cross dropped, and it was the navigating point from a blended family into a blended kingdom family. And so we just want you guys to know that this is for you. We are here to serve you. We are in this journey with you, and we just want to love on you guys and just put out some godly content, blogs, podcasting, this podcast, content through our website, and on our social media platforms. Just give some encouragement and hope for you and your family so that you can live life abundantly and live an abundant kingdom life.
Absolutely. And as you guys are seeing all this content and you're experiencing these things, and we hope that you like it, we hope that it's speaking some part to you as a blended family. But let me also encourage you, even if you hear this and you're not a blended family, let me tell you, you know one, and you know that this content would be good for them, an encouragement to them. As Christians, we're called to encourage our brothers and sisters in Christ. And part of that is just giving them a resource to say, hey, you may be struggling in this area. Here's something that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes long. Just listen to it. If nothing else, it's going to give them some type of hope for the future. So I want to encourage you, as you're hearing this and as you're seeing this, hit the share button, like our podcast, give us a review, give us your comments, tell us what you want to be talking about, tell us about your struggles. Not only will we address those in content, but we will address those in prayer. And as Vanessa was saying, Luke 1:37 is the absolute crux of our ministry when it talks about everything is possible with God. Nothing is impossible. So no matter what your scenario is, no matter how desperate you may be right now, no matter how hopeless you may be right now, understand that everything is possible. Every possible thing that you can imagine, every possible great scenario you can imagine is possible with God. Nothing is impossible. So there's no mountain that is too high. There's no valley that you can't jump across. Everything is possible if you can put your hope and faith in Christ for that journey.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We're excited for you. We're going to try to do our best.
Yeah, you guys, we've never done this before. We are just walking in full obedience to what we feel the Lord has called us to do.
Yeah.
And guys, we want to hear from you. We want to know, what are the things that you're dealing with as a blended family? We've lived it our entire lives. We can relate. We've been through the highs and we've been through the lows. And so we would love to hear from you guys. If you want to email us at info@blendedkingdomfamilies.com. Again, that's info@blendedkingdomfamilies.com. Give us, some things that you want to hear from us about, or if you're in need for prayer, you guys, we want to pray for you. Our website has a prayer wall, and you can put whatever your prayer request is, and we will be sure and have committed to praying with you in whatever it is that you're walking through.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you. We want to encourage you. Understand that there is hope and that there is some amazing things coming in the future. So have a great day and be blessed in all you do.
Thanks, guys.